Hello again, this is Ben Hitchcock Cross talking to you today about Sue Novak versus the Wisconsin Department of Corrections. This ostensibly is a run-of-the-mill sex discrimination case. We have here basically a comparison between wardens, because my client here is a warden. Sue Novak is the warden of the Columbia Correctional Institution, a fairly notorious institution, prison in the state of Wisconsin. Sue Novak was the warden for some short period of time before there was a fairly significant escape in 2020. Well, the Secretary of the Department of Corrections, that's Carr, he does not like bad publicity, and he went after Sue Novak like a ton of bricks. Something that had never been done to any male warden before. They had never been investigated, let alone punished, for putting for any escape of any kind. So that was pretty significant, and when we looked into it, there was a lot more evidence of sex discrimination that arose in this case. So ultimately, Sue Novak was forced to resign. Basically, she could either have her pension or and resign, or fight this and they terminate her, and she'd lose hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So you tell me what you would have done there. So she resigns, saves her pension, and we sue them for sex discrimination. This case and this hearing here ultimately is going to start with Secretary Carr, and so we're going to go through a lot of his personal testimony here. That's one of the highest ranking officials, certainly in the state of Wisconsin that I've dealt with. We're going to have a lot of testimony about escape from jails, and we're going to have from prison. We're going to have a lot of escape about how the Wisconsin prison system is run and why there's a defective fence at Columbia Correctional Institution. We're going to have a lot of testimony about that. We are going to have some uncooperative witnesses. As usual, we're going to have the former division administrator who now works for the city of Milwaukee, Magda Fesahai. She just doesn't want to come. She just doesn't want to appear. And in fact, she disrupts my daughter's birthday to a significant degree because she kind of flaunts the rules and does whatever. She talks to the department. We subpoenaed her. She doesn't call me. She calls the Department of Corrections and then happens to be in California when she's scheduled to testify. So that'll be fun. The key thing that we need to look out here for corruption is this. The Deputy Secretary of the Department of Corrections at the time is Amy Pahacek. She is directly involved. There are emails from her. She is running the internal affairs investigation into Warden Novak. That will all come up. Well, as often happens in government, the Deputy Secretary then becomes the Secretary not of the Department of Corrections, but of the Department of Workforce Development. And that means that she is the judge's boss. So just let that sink in. The judge here who's hearing this case, her boss, is one of the bad actors. And I don't figure this out until months after this hearing here, and we're dealing with that as we have to. But you tell me if the judge recognizes the fact that her boss, every time they mention it, you tell me if she has a physical reaction every time they bring the boss up. So I think that's really the thing to look out for, is the judge, and is there evidence of bias here by the judge? Because again, whatever else there is, the person whose name is going to be on the decision is one of the bad actors in this case. Amy Pahacek is directly involved in creating the conditions, the discriminatory conditions for Sue Novak, and her name will be on the decision for Sue Novak's case, unless, of course, the governor does something about it. So that's where we're at right now. This case is live. This case is hot. This case needs to be heard. So for everybody who is concerned about what happens in the prisons, this is a case to watch as well, because there's going to be some rather disturbing facts that are going to come out here. Okay? So, again, this is what we do. Ordinary employment law is really grasping, I mean, it's what people spend 8 hours of their life doing, a third of their life. It's much more if you're a correction officer, right? So this is what people do, and this is real deal here. So stick with us. We'll keep you informed. Thanks.